oviducts, and we see the other kidney just sitting right there. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to remove some more of these tubes. And down below, near the pelvis of the frog, this is down here near the pelvis, we can see this pouchy tissue right here. You can see all this pouchy tissue right here. I've got my probe under it. And right here, there it is. That's going to be the frog's urinary bladder. That's the urinary bladder. That's the frog's urine. Again, that urinary bladder is going to exit through the cloaca, which is that external opening right there. The next thing I want to do is remove the liver so we can get a better shot of the heart and lungs. So I'm going to remove, there's our heart right here. So as I move this liver down, you can see the heart come into view. The frog has a 3-chambered heart, and we are looking at the ventricle right here. That is going to be the ventricle, and the atria are going to be up here a little bit further. We'll try to visualize those in just a few minutes. Come in here and try to remove this liver without pulling apart. The heart and the liver are very closely connected, so we have to be very careful when we remove the liver so as not to damage the heart too much. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to try to cut the liver out here very carefully without damaging other structures. I just go to the base of the liver and try to do some small snips, taking it slowly. And you can see that I removed the liver. Again, there's our gallbladder right there. And that's going to be our liver. Take a good look at the liver. And here's our stomach. Before I go up into the chest and talk about the heart, and you can see the pink structures right here. These are the lungs. Notice they're very small lungs because the frog relies mainly on the skin to exchange gases rather than the lungs. I want to take a look at the stomach. So I'm going to cut the stomach open. And I want to take a look in here. Sometimes when you cut the stomach open, I'm going to cut along the greater curvature of the stomach. When you cut the stomach open, sometimes you might see some of the food that the frog has eaten. You might see an insect in there. You might see some other structures. Sometimes you don't see anything. It just depends. So I'm opening that up. You can see there's some food left over right there. And you can see what looks like a nail of some organism. Perhaps this frog had a small lizard or something else for lunch. But inside the stomach, you can see some of the food there. You can see these folds. And these folds, when the stomach gets filled up and gets distended, these folds obviously are going to allow the stomach to enlarge a little bit. The stomach's very muscular because remember, the frog is not going to chew his food. He's going to let his stomach do most of the work of digestion. Now if I come down a little bit further into the small intestine, I'm going to open up that small intestine and I'm going to put the scissors in there, do some small cuts, be careful when you're cutting. And you can see how sort of it looks a little fluffy, spongy, I guess. And all those little tiny folds are going to serve to increase the surface area because this is where a lot of your digestion is going to take place. Enzymes are going to get released to break down the food, and a lot of absorption is going to take place across this small intestine. So we want lots of surface area. Again, wherever diffusion is going to occur, we want lots of surface area. Let's go up and take a look at the heart here. You can see the heart, you can see the large blood vessels coming off of the heart. I've got my probe underneath one blood vessel there. And there's going to be another one going to the other side. See if you can take a look at those blood vessels. They're very thick blood vessels. And that's going to be our heart. I'm going to go ahead and try to remove the heart. Looks like our heart broke apart a little bit here. A very delicate heart. You can see the inside of the heart right there. You can see some of the blood on the inside of the heart. This is the ventricle here. You can see one of the atria, it's very thin. You can see that it's easily deformed when I put my probe onto it, because the purpose of the atria is more to store blood temporarily and then pump it into the ventricle, which is then going to pump the blood throughout the entire body. Let's take a look at these two pink structures, and these are going to be the lungs. What I want you to do is remove one of those lungs carefully. Try to remove an entire lung and get rid of some more of the fallopian tube there. And I want to remove a lung. Actually, before I remove the lung, let me go into the frog's mouth. And that opening that led to the lungs is going to be called the glottis. So if we open the frog's mouth and we take a look, this little lump right here is going to have a hole in it. I got the probe inside that hole. Now as I push the probe through here, the probe should go in, and you can see it. Put my probe into the nut, into the glottis. The probe should come out right around near the lungs, and it does. You can see that I'm actually lifting up that one lung right there. Actually, the probe just went through the lung. So you can see that. If I go into the esophagus, which is further back, my probe should go into the stomach. Push it through a little bit further. You can see that it's going into the stomach. I can't quite, there it is right there. And the probe comes out of the stomach. So I want you to do that. I want you to see if you can actually follow those tubes into their proper structures, the stomach and the lungs. Now let's go ahead and actually remove a lung. We're going to use our scissors, and I want to remove this very carefully. So I'm going to snip around the base of the lung here and pull this out. Try not to damage the lung too much. And that's going to be the lung right there. That's one of the lungs. And the next thing I want you to do is cut this lung right in half. We're going to cut it in half. And the lung went in. The lung was like this in the frog, so I want you to cut it in a horizontal way, right across, maybe a third of the way down, and then I want you to take that lung and sort of open it up, and you will see that the lung of a frog and an amphibian is sort of hollow. You can see that my probe is inside that lung. It's sort of hollow, and I'm opening it up, I'm teasing it open. You can see how hollow that lung is. Now if we were to open up your lung or a fetal pig, which is also a mammal, the lung would appear very solid, like a solid sponge. And if we actually looked at that lung on a microscopic level, you would see lots of little microscopic sacs called alveoli. Each one of those alveoli serves to increase the surface area of the lung. The frog does not have those alveoli. His lung is essentially hollow, which reduces the surface area, which is why the frog must use its skin as its main organ of gas exchange. As we move up through evolution and we go to a reptile, and as we go to mammals, they're going to have alveoli, which greatly increase the surface area for gas exchange in the lung. So we move that lung out of the way. I'm just going to poke around in here, see if I see anything else of interest. Coming off the heart, our heart was right in here. Coming off of the heart, you can see this major blood vessel right here run right down. And you can see the blood vessel there. I'm going to sort of lift up the blood vessel a little bit. And right underneath that blood vessel, probably for protection, is going to be the spine of the frog. It's going to be the spinal column. And your aorta, which is one of the biggest blood vessel in your body, also travels right down the front of your spine. Again, most likely for protection. You can see I'm actually moving the kidney out of the way there, so you can see that we've covered everything that I want you to see. So that is going to be it for the frog dissection.
So that video is pretty much to kind of help us understand the proper way to kind of go through.
And I'm going over the instructions.
The proper way to go through about dissecting a frog, a female frog in particular. I guess it can kind of help you out if you want to kind of play it in the background, maybe kind of guide you through your lesson on mother's laws and talk about the different organs and how it might help the frog out. Maybe have the girls at the same time thinking about ways that can compare to their own bodies, the ways that their body functions versus how the frog functions.
Yeah, like you said, like as far as girls compare themselves to the frog. So like a few examples here, like as in the video, like the frog, like the tongue. So like humans have the tongues attached to the back of the mouth, and frogs have the tongue attached to the front of the mouth, so it can reach far enough to catch its prey. And then one thing I didn't see in the video. Well, what I have here, like another example, skeletal system. The humans have ribs and frogs don't. And also in the video, the reproductive system, the frog's eggs are throughout the body cavity, and then the lungs. So frogs' lungs are much smaller. Since the gas exchange or respiration with the skin, they don't need their lungs to be large. And humans, we have large lungs because our source respiration and gas exchange. So that's pretty much the differences between humans and frogs.
Pretty much everything. For both the sessions, the orientation, and the frog dissection. We kind of have some worksheets that obviously would have that type of information on it, so you can kind of go through it with the girls. Not expecting you to know that. But I guess any information you guys have from your own experiences, obviously you can incorporate those.
And please make sure you sign in so that I can email everyone all of the worksheets and the videos and everything so that everyone will be abreast when we start on July 15th. Thank you, Winston, Letitia, and Kamaria. They stepped in. We had a facilitator that was assigned to the